Hey guys. So first of all, I kind of want to start off with an apology. Yesterday, I made a vlog, like my first vlog ever. I never actually thought that it was something that I do or something that I'd be interested in. It was definitely an impromptu decision, and I kind of want to round off on it a little bit. I mean, when uh, when I encountered the idea of vlogging, probably about an hour before I released the video, I knew from an experience that if I started planning it, I'd be tried to be like really ambitious, and it's a perfectionist habit that I've been trying to break. So I think that's kind of why I rushed that last video through the pipeline, and decided it would be completely unedited, etc. And it might be a format that I stick to because with full-time work, my commitments to largely writing, but also music and other hobbies might not allow me as much time as I'd like to have to edit these videos. So I think a way of improvement would be a little bit of writing, just something to stick with, and just basically have me talking and umming a lot, as you can see. So let's start off with our basics. My name's Michael. I'm a scientist by day, and I'm a musician slash author by night. I spent around 3 years writing my first book, The Great Siege of Adventis. I've only recently decided to give the traditional publishing route a shot. That's for several reasons. Largely because the universe the book is set in is pretty much like a child to me. Like I've had this idea for years. I don't want it to fail because of lack of outreach, basically, which might be a problem with independent publishing. So if I was in charge of the whole marketing, promotion, and distribution, it's a lot for me to take on. It might be something that I might have risked had I published something traditionally beforehand, and I kind of had a feel for the industry, had a feel for bookmakers, bookstores, and what they might want me to do, and how to reach them and push a book out, and a name to cling on to. But yeah, so essentially, it's not a risk that I'm willing to take. And right now, I'm on a quest to find a literary agent. So my book is about Tom Silver, his friends, and their interplanetary boarding school, Fort Adventis Academy for Military Excellence. I'm going to leave a link down below, so you can have a look at the page, and just I'm going to throw information. As soon as people start getting on that page, I'm just going to start throwing like words at you, which I hope you'll enjoy. So this book, the first of a trilogy in a series, introduces the story's universe, its inhabitants, and the dynamics that guide the overall story arc. There are several layers to this book's plot, but the main one follows Tom from when he's just a small child to when he takes on his first expedition, unaware of the mortal dangers he'll face. Not gonna elaborate on that for obvious reasons. Tom Silver deals with a lot of things. I imagine a typical Adventitian cadet would face, and in a way, he deals with a bunch of things that some human children will experience. So, like, not necessarily there's traditional ones of like what to do if someone's bullying you, but what to do if someone's bullying your friend. I think it pushes some core values that I myself utilize in my day-to-day life of always sticking up for your friends and just basically having a group of friends having each other's back. So yeah, just one of the thematic considerations behind that book. So the book is set in a universe that begins innocently as a military science fiction. Military because Fort Adventis Academy was basically built to train cadets who would be future soldiers, future officers, commanders, captains, fighter pilots, and they basically use this new generation to hopefully defeat a really horrible threat. Like, Persians are bad, so they're hopefully going to be able to defeat the Persians with a new generation of soldiers, like just built from the ground up for war. Right, so they've got all sorts of clever tricks for getting these kids to be the most disciplined, most professional soldiers. the Trident Defense Agency can muster. The Trident Defense Agency is like this whole government military organization that oversees it all, and yeah, like so the whole plan is to build just an army of highly trained, very intelligent children, but at the same time, they don't want to take away their lives, so they spend their lives on a boarding school where they can just basically efficiently take in knowledge, take in training, and also more or less live their lives. So that's where Tom is. So the book begins innocently as military science fiction, but incorporates elements of magic, mysticism, and supernatural powers. Now, without going into too much detail, because a lot of this is gonna be revealed later on, the magic element comes from a race known as the Zephyr, and like these Zephyr have just like crystals, some of them along their jawline, back of their hands, on their wrists, and these crystals give them magic-like powers. So a fire bearer might be able to conjure fire, just by thinking about it. An ice slinger can turn water into ice and then manipulate it. So just little things like manipulating entropy, and these aren't like crazy like Avatar level powers. Like they some in the weakest form it can be quite tame and just not very off-putting, but you can get some real demons. Not gonna say anymore. And yeah, so it's got a bit of a military science fiction, and there's also the fantasy element that's there as well. All the main, and this is important, all the main and peripheral characters have their own unique story, their own unique history, families, and backgrounds. And I think that is the main selling point for this book. This is definitely what I'm looking to get across to the agent, because just the richness of the story, it's something that I can definitely be proud of, and I can be more or less smug about, because when some authors want to write a book, they might have one idea in their head and they might be able to expand this, but for me, I've been building this idea since I was about 7 or 8. They all started off innocently as like little, sometimes faceless characters, and then over time, I've developed these characters and developed the whole universe. And I think when I've become older, I've started incorporating thematic considerations, as I mentioned earlier. So I think I've started incorporating what my ideal society would be like, how I'd ideally tackle problems. So make me president is going to be somewhere put into your subconscious from reading that book, that I should be in charge of things. Essentially, me having this really well thought out universe, I like to think it's really well thought out. I've been doing a bunch of plot hole busting myself, and I think it's quite it's becoming quite airtight. I think essentially me having this almost finished product that that when I am to create sequels, I'm not just bringing up new ideas, I'm just basically making things fit into a puzzle. I think that's going to be a major selling point. I hope that's going to be a major selling point for the book, and I hope the editors enjoy what I've got so far, because if they don't like the premise of the universe, there's no point in having it at all, is there? So right now I've just finished my synopsis. This, along with a formal letter of interest in the first 3 chapters of my book, will be used by a literary agent to decide whether I'm worth the risk. Like, they want to make sure that I'm not a run-of-the-mill person who's installed Microsoft Word and is just tapping away at the keyboard. They kind of want to make sure that I've got something that's worth their time and worth their money, investment, efforts. It needs to be good, because when they approach a publisher, the publisher's not gonna enjoy having a literary agent who just keeps giving them crap. So yeah, so I need to convince these guys that I'm worth the investment, basically. Assuming this all goes well, I will sign an agreement, and the gates to publishing will swing wide open. So writing the synopsis, I think I'll just wrap up on this. Writing the synopsis for me started off in about 3 phases. So I was going to write an in-depth, like in chapter 1 so and so happens, but there are about 35 chapters. The word count for the book stands at about 85,000 words, so it would have been a really horrible essay to force someone to read. But after I did that, I kind of stopped after chapter 3, and then I basically bullet pointed the whole story, and that came up to about 2,100 words. But I did a bit more research. I had a look at industry guidelines. So I had a look at what I'm expected to present, which is definitely a good idea. I should probably start with that next time I'm about to do something like that. But hey, so when I had a look at that, I learned how to pick out core aspects of my story, and I've kind of categorized them. And I don't know if this is appropriate, because I've basically got about 300 or 400 words under 4 headings. The headings are core story, thematic considerations, relationships, and antagonists. So, I mean, relationships and antagonists, technically the same thing, but hey, I think they both deserve their separate headings. And yeah, so I spent most of my evening doing that, and now I have a very crisp, neat 872 word synopsis, and so I can just basically tick that box, and that's ready to send. I've written most of my formal letter. Yeah, I don't know how happy I am with it at the moment, but I'll definitely be looking into that, tomorrow, and over the weekend. And the last thing I'll be doing is polishing up my first 3 chapters. Believe it or not, I've done this so many times. Like, at work, I'm just known for writing the book and then saying it's finished, and then doing a run through of edits, and then saying it's finished and doing another run through of edits. And I don't know, I don't know if other authors have been through this, but the positive side of that is that I know it's working. 8 times out of 10, I'll look at it and I'll be happy with something that I've thought to add, and it shows that the refining process is good. I do sometimes realize plot holes, but this was like a long time ago, and thankfully I haven't found any recently, because I'd be pretty bummed if I did. I'm not exactly looking forward to doing the next 3 edits, because I'm just afraid that I'll start editing again. And another thing is, like, once it's because it's such a learning curve. I learned how to write by writing, basically, and what I've realized is that I'll start the edits, and then I'll make changes here and there, maybe realize a new format that I have to stick to, and then, like, I will proceed down the book, and then the changes get more meaningful. So the mistakes that I might realize how to join up sentences. I might refine the way I write, and then I will start implementing those changes like further down the book. But then at the start of the book, I wouldn't have made those changes, because I hadn't realized that I could improve on those points at that particular stage, and then I'll have to do another edit, and then the cycle just carries on. So I'm worried that's going to happen again, because I've edited all like 80,000 words twice in the past 2 months, so about an edit a month. I think an edit a month is a pretty good number to go by. And yeah, I don't want that to happen again. As I said, I've been pretty happy with the book. I feel it's 98% done, and I always have to leave that 2%, because that's about how much I consistently change during edits. So yeah, that's going to be my mission for the next couple of days, and I hope you stay tuned. Any questions you have, just please leave them down below. It's great to finally become a part of the YouTube community. Another bit about me is that I'm a prolific gamer, so my other YouTube account has been active for about, not active in the sense of uploading videos, but active in the sense of I've had that account. I made that account back in 2006 when I used to play RuneScape, and that YouTube account basically revolves around gaming, and I always kind of assumed if I made any content on YouTube, it would be to do with gaming. But I think I've grown up a little bit. I'm pretty sure I've grown up a little bit. I'm 21 years old. I'll be turning 22 in 2 months, I think. And it's turned out that I'm a vlogger. I don't know how I feel about it. I hope I can bring something new to vlogging. I hope I can bring something meaningful to it, and I hope you enjoy it. And you know, maybe there'll be one person, you're probably my only viewer, and thank you for being here. Um, maybe there'll be somebody who will appreciate what I'm doing, and who will find it of some use. Basically, if you don't make the same mistakes I make, then I'm happy and you're happy. So yeah, that's it for now. Bye bye.